also streaming this on YouTube simultaneously, so I have to connect for 1 second, but maybe
No worries.
Sana can entertain me for
Yeah.
now.
If you're joining in, first of all, let us know if you can hear both of us okay. You can just do a little thumbs up. And then comment in the chat where you're tuning in from. So
Oh,
I'm
curious.
based in London for anyone who doesn't know. Okay, cool. Audio
Yeah,
seems to be great.
great. I'm in Milan, but you guys know that. Now in Milan, before you Berlin. Very international. I one time met a
Yeah.
person in the workshop that was like
Uh-huh.
from a really remote country. Oh, I don't remember what it is right now. But
Oh,
I was so shocked. They were like, I was like, cool, you made it
yeah,
here.
awesome. All corners of the
Excited to have
internet.
it. Definitely. Oh my gosh. No, but there's also a lot of people from Germany every time. So I'm
Nice.
interested. I like to see my people in the chat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cool.
Okay,
Bianca's from
Austria.
Vienna.
Nice.
Um,
Close. You count.
Greece.
Greece, nice. A lot of cool countries.
Both places I haven't been to. I definitely want to go.
Oh, Greece is lovely. I've
Yeah,
been twice. No, yeah,
nice.
it's amazing. 1 second.
Albania. Awesome.
I just been to Albania.
Oh,
It's amazing.
really?
Yes,
Yeah,
I went this summer. It was my trip.
ah, yeah, I really want to go to
Okay.
Albania as well. I have a friend from
Oh,
Albania. She's always telling me about it.
oh, it's great.
Hmm,
I totally recommend. Milan. Oh, someone else from Milan. Nice.
great.
Milan people unite. Ryan.
Ryan,
You're not Ryan from Cruise Room, right? Because if you are, you have to say hello. Just letting you know. Beth, also UK, nice. Turkey, okay.
cool. Yeah, we've got a good mix, I would
Is
say.
that you? I was wondering. Because oh wow, amazing. This if you guys know the Crit Room podcast, this is Ryan.
Mhm.
So we're also here. Well, everyone's united on this journey to do branding. Thank you guys for joining. I'm just gonna give everyone like 2 more minutes
Yeah.
because some people also asked me to. I know it's kind of an awkward time, by the way, but me and Sana, we're busy people. I want to respect
Yeah,
everyone's time, so it was kind of hard to find a time slot, honestly, where we both aren't like super planned.
I know.
But we are here today for all of you, and thank you all for coming, by the way. Also, if you end up listening to the webinar and you enjoy it, please make stories about it or write us a review on LinkedIn or what you thought about it. I'll definitely be reposting what people think. I'm also just really curious what your guys' takeaway will be from all of this. I know we've worked hard on producing some interesting material, but I definitely want to hear your guys' opinion on everything we've created. So I'm letting more people in. Sorry if I kept you waiting for now, guys. Okay, admitting people. But yeah, branding. I mean, if you're here, you know it's important. If your friends are not here, tell them to watch the YouTube video.
Sure.
But we will begin soon.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, I'm sorry if my voice is still a bit weird because I've just been sick. I know I already told Sana, but I'm like, I had my midterm on Thursday. My voice was so raspy. I felt like it sounds like I'm such a smoker. So now it's better. Now I sound more like myself. But before I was like, hello. Nobody could understand what I was saying. We've recovered. We're here today. Branding has healed me. No, I'm kidding. It can heal your career, though.
Here you
Trust
guys,
me. So.
yeah.
Okay, you know what? People will keep coming in, but I'm just for the
Okay.
sake of not wasting anyone's time. I will
Yeah.
begin my little introduction, just so you guys don't feel like you have to keep waiting here. But 1 second, I'm gonna. Okay. Can you guys see my screen? The branding for architects thing. Okay, I hope
Yes.
it's all okay. Everyone can see it. Perfect. Thank you, Jennifer. So today, you know where you're here. Okay, go on. Me and Sana are the preachers of branding for architects. Okay, if you've been on LinkedIn or Instagram and you saw some of our content, we've been really honing down on what it means to have your own social media for architecture and posting your stuff and sharing online, connecting and building a community, which is why my company, SKALA, decided to host an incredible webinar today, which is why me and Sana are both here. And Sana graciously accepted to co-host this with me, so I'm not boring everyone alone. But the way we've decided to do it today is cover some of the most important topics that people are interested in. And we're not just going to be talking about personal brand as a single architect, but we'll also go more deeply into what it means to do Instagram or LinkedIn as a studio. So if you're working at a studio, if you have your own studio, this is also really important for you to kind of learn where we stand today with branding and architecture. And we will talk about what it means to have an authentic architectural brand. So not just posting renders and calling it a day, but actually building your voice. We're going to talk about values and how to communicate them well online. I know Sana's very well versed in that. And also we will be talking mostly about Instagram and LinkedIn, at least myself, but how to really use that intentionally to progress in your career, what to keep in mind for 2025 and even the years ahead, when you really want to establish a meaningful presence online that can lead to more clients and just more value for yourself. You know, that's the goal. We want architects to have autonomy over their work, over how much they charge, and over the ability to kind of be your own marketer and not have to rely on anyone else. But yeah, I would love to introduce our amazing guest. So if you don't know who Sana Tabassum is, I assume you have not been on LinkedIn yet, because you should know her. Sana is an incredible colleague in the architecture influencer sphere. Although I hate that word, but I just have to say it. She's a designer and also educator and founder of 2Scale. You can find her on Instagram and LinkedIn, but I'll also be dropping the links in the chat later on when she's talking. She's such a leading voice in architectural communication. She always talks about how to grow a holistic brand online as an architect, what you can do for yourself to attract better clients, to post online. And I just really, personally, I watch her content a lot, almost daily when I'm online. And she's just one of those people, you know, like how Sasha Colby is the favorite drag queen of other drag queens? Like Sana is like the favorite influences of other architecture influencers. That's how I can describe her. And this is not like
kind.
no, that's truly how I feel. You know, I wouldn't invite her if I didn't believe that. But so she's going to be also talking about how to build a strong personal brand. Obviously, she has a really strong personal brand, so we're learning from someone who does what they're going to preach. And also talking about consistency online, because that is also a very important topic. And I'm really excited about this. So why are we even doing this webinar? Just for people who are maybe confused and just, I don't know why you're joining, but I just want to explain it again. Architecture is getting more and more online every day. People are starting blogs. People are posting their architecture online. And obviously, if you're a practicing architect, clients will look at your social media. The other offices will look at your social media. It's kind of like having a second portfolio, but a better portfolio, which is what I will be touching on. And having a good brand is a non-negotiable in 2025 when it comes to building trust, being recognized by clients, and really having that advantage over people that maybe don't want to build a brand online. And you know, visibility, before visibility was like going to events and maybe like being in the newspaper and talking to people, but right now we're so online. So visibility is really more about connecting online, showing off your projects, being truthful to yourselves and your values, and really taking back the power and sharing your own architecture story. So here's a little structure of the webinar. We will begin with Sana's section. So she will talk more about personal branding, values, and how she herself runs her Instagram and LinkedIn. But obviously Sana will explain much better what she's going to talk about than me. And then what I'm going to be talking about is studio level social media strategy. So how to do Instagram if you're an architecture studio or if you're practicing architect. And also about positioning, and how to really storytell with your architecture. And of course, I'll also be describing SKALA System for Growth, which is my company that helps architects be online, basically, if you could summarize it with that. And at the end, we have a Q&A for you guys, of course. So architecture isn't only built, you know, we have to also communicate architecture. This is kind of the main topic of our session here today. So without further I would like to welcome Sana Tabassum to the stage, to the online stage, and share with us her incredible slides. Yay! Please.
Brilliant. Thank you
Welcome.
so much.
Of
So
course, go
let me
ahead.
share my screen. Right. Give me a thumbs up if you guys can see that okay.
I can see it.
Cool. Sorry, just getting situated. Just want to see you guys. Okay, fantastic. So, like Maria said, I'll be talking to you about branding for architects. Now, typically I talk to a lot of architecture students, and I often say the one thing that I wish I did earlier was build a personal brand. And the kind of vehicle for that I use is LinkedIn, and I'll talk a lot about LinkedIn. So I just want to preface this by saying LinkedIn is not a scary place. You can absolutely grow your personal brand there. And it's not kind of like the stereotypical platform that everyone thinks it is. So I'll start with a bit about me. I'm a creative director of To Scale, like Maria said. My background is in architecture, so I have a master's in architecture, and I've previously worked in practice, but I've also freelanced in various social media communications companies as well. And I think the main kind of point and purpose of talking about a brand, talking about a personal brand, is usually also geared towards students and graduates trying to find a job. And so I have been through that process myself of trying to find a job in the industry and not really knowing how to stand out best. So over the years, I think it's been about 6 years now, I've been making content online for other architecture students, gone through my master's making content, gone through being in practice making content as well. And this whole time, the one sort of consistent thing that I was accidentally doing was building my personal brand. So I'm going to kind of help map out ways in which how you can also do that. And just to kind of give you a very brief timeline of things, in 2020, so right in the like peak of COVID, I was getting rejected at 10 different interviews in that whole year. That was straight after my part one, which is your bachelor's degree in the UK. And I went from doing that to 2023. I was getting approached by directors and senior architects for jobs. And then this year, I've kind of transitioned and started my own creative studio, helping brands and small business owners tell their stories online in a very simple and authentic way. So a lot has happened in those kind of 5 or 6 years. Just to give you some context about my own career journey. And I think one of the common themes in my portion is also going to be about this concept of an unfair advantage. And this isn't original, it comes from this book called The Unfair Advantage. And the idea is that we all have one, it's unique to us. It might just take a while for you to find what yours is. And you can do that based on a few factors, and some of the factors that they have like a whole framework of how to figure it out. But I think especially in a creative industry, everyone has some kind of unfair advantage or combination of skills that they can use and leverage for their personal brand. So my unfair advantage, well, first of all, I started by looking at different creators on LinkedIn. And how I mentioned previously, like stereotypically, it's been a very professional platform, but it's actually the oldest social media platform out there that is still thriving and still kind of like making big waves. And a lot of people outside of architecture in industries like tech or copywriting, they have been able to grow and scale their businesses just by writing on LinkedIn. And I think that's super, super powerful. And so if we can kind of even capture 10% of that and use it to our advantage, I think it makes a huge difference. And so whilst making content, I was also teaching myself an array of skills like copywriting, marketing, event production, graphic design, and these are all things that are in high demand. And so this combination of skills is what my unfair advantage is. So I also kind of want you to be thinking in the back of your mind what your unfair advantage could be. And I want to say that this has to be as specific as possible, because you might think, oh yeah, I'm really good at model making. But actually, there could be 100 other students that are also great at model making. But what makes you different? Is it your process? Is it your attention to detail? And so it's just about leveraging all of those. So I'm going to talk a little bit about why LinkedIn, for example, for starters, and then how to kind of create the ultimate profile so that you're starting with a really good foundation. And then I'll touch on what to post, how to post, but then how to make it sustainable for yourself and keep that momentum going. So before I start, obviously I've kind of framed it from the point of view of getting a job and building your personal brand for that goal. But actually, your personal brand can still help you throughout your career, and you can make new connections. You can open doors that you didn't know even existed, and that's personally happened to me several times. With my creative studio now, I've kind of gained clients solely based on my network. So I haven't had to kind of go out and market any of my services because they've all come to me. And I think that in itself is really powerful. And LinkedIn as a platform is quite misunderstood. So I'll give you a few people to kind of start following. These are people outside of architecture, but all doing great things. Joe is someone that I have had the pleasure of working for before. He runs a social media agency, and I guess he kind of creates content that is sort of very beginner friendly for people who are just starting out on LinkedIn. He has a really great YouTube playlist and kind of course on there as well. Jordan is the manager of the Sidemen. And what I really like about Jordan's content on LinkedIn is that it's quite personal, and you wouldn't really expect that on a platform for professionals. But I think that's what makes him stand out is almost his unfair advantage. And so I think his content kind of shows me that you don't necessarily have to be talking about something serious in every single post. And it really helps to have some sort of like reflection as well. And then finally, Colby, who kind of has a newsletter as well, but he creates some really cool graphical type of posts on LinkedIn. So if you're the type of person who personally doesn't really like reading a lot of text when you're scrolling on any social media platform, then you could take a different approach and create something more graphically inclined. So quite diverse, but really great people to kind of start following. And then as you kind of engage with their content, you'll be exposed to more people. And then if you're looking for architecture specific, I think these three people come to mind. The first one being Mike, who is an architect based in New York. And he also has a really amazing newsletter, but his, I guess, unfair advantage is looking at it from an angle of well-being for architects. And I don't think I have to say how I guess strenuous and stressful this industry and career can be. And so Mike gives lots of tips and frameworks on how to navigate that and make a sustainable career for yourself. And then Nikita, who is slightly adjacent of architect, she actually is a copywriter. She, I think, finds really cool and interesting bits of different architects' websites and kind of tells you how to capture and message certain things and stories in a really nice way. And so a reason I follow her is just to kind of understand what people are really looking for when it comes to writing about architecture, because I think that's a skill that not many people get taught at university. And then lastly, Aileen, who was previously based in the UK and is now based in Dubai. She's a recruiter and a career coach, and I think her content really resonates a lot with students. She gives tips on portfolios and CVs, so another really cool person to follow. But also, I guess her content is really polished and speaks to her personal brand and her company. And I think, yeah, I think just all around three great people to be following as well. And they're all kind of doing the right thing in the sense of they're building their personal brand, they're posting the right kind of stuff that is authentic to themselves, and they're sharing that knowledge with everyone else. And I think also my point here isn't that you have to be influencers or content creators at all to build a personal brand. You can still share your opinion and document your journey and do all of those things without having to commit to something much bigger. So the first thing that I want you to stop doing is posting really, really boring stuff on LinkedIn. And that includes things like, oh, I'm happy to share a new job. I'm happy to share my graduation and et cetera, because those posts aren't necessarily getting seen by anyone and it's not adding any value to your profile or anyone else's feed. So if you do want to share a milestone or you want to share something that you've achieved, you can absolutely do so, but do it with some flair and personality. And that's just kind of inject your unfair advantage into whatever you're posting about. So with your LinkedIn profile, I think it's really important that you make it memorable, truthful, and direct. And I say those things because I've seen profiles in the past where a lot of people will write their about section in the third person, and I think that's such a like red flag because it's like on your profile to kind of see and hear and learn about you. And I'd much rather it come from someone talking to me as if I'm a person as well. And the other thing is memorable, which I'll get onto as well. And obviously truthful, because at the end of the day, it's a professional social media platform. Your name is on there, the company you work for will be on there. So it's really important to make sure that you're not kind of projecting any skills that are untrue. And if you are at the bottom of the ladder, you're just starting out in your career, that's totally okay. You might not have the same kind of experience as most people, but I think it's really important to kind of like showcase the skills that you do have. So the first thing that you want to do is optimize your profile. There are so many features and sections of a LinkedIn profile that many people don't really know about. The first one being starting with your profile picture. I think this is just a personal preference, but I think try and stay away from black and white images, try and stay away from group images or selfies that don't really show you properly in that profile picture. There was a guy on LinkedIn that I follow, and he's now since changed his profile picture, but previously he had this really bright orange background in his headshot. And I just found it so like memorable in like the weirdest way. So as to like as I was scrolling on LinkedIn and I'd see a post and I knew instantly that it was from him because I recognized that shade of orange. And so things like that I think stay in people's minds. So you could try and kind of like optimize your profile to suit a certain color palette if you so wish to do so. This is my kind of profile. And so again, with your profile, you don't necessarily have to have the banner image at the top here, unless you have a business and you're kind of looking for clients. If you're a student, if you're a graduate, I would just say put an image of your best work on there. And then just making sure that your bio is super clear as possible and it kind of tells a story of what you're doing and not just the generic architectural graduate from so and so university, because that's not really telling me anything about you. I can always go into your experience or look at your CV to do that. So, your bio, you kind of just want to write what you do, what your dream or current role is, and what your skills are. And again, that skilled aspect is referring back to what your unfair advantage is. So, you could say something like, I love making models with a emotional connection, whatever it is. Some people do this really well with like wordy puns and things. You don't have to do that. But again, it just helps you be a bit more memorable in someone's mind. And then in the featured section, which is the section directly below on your profile, you can add up to 3 links. So I would definitely use this to your advantage. And this could be things that you've been published in, a website if you have one, a portfolio. And LinkedIn is really good at SEO, which is search engine optimization, which means that it ranks really well in Google. So if you go and Google your name, for example, and your LinkedIn ranks to the top, that will be why. And so I think that's also quite important if you are someone looking for a job, because I think nowadays, especially a lot of employers tend to Google someone before they, I guess, look further deeper into their CV and portfolio and application. And then when it comes to your about section, this is sort of like the framework that I've used. Just having like a strong hook at the very beginning is the thing that I would really emphasize on, and ensuring that you're making it as clear and concise as possible when you're reading it, because no one likes reading a huge chunk of paragraph at one go. And so a lot of people tend to, I guess, write everything and all of it as possible, but I think condensing it down into really clear points is the way to go. Um, I like to also think about this as how you might be introduced if you were a character in a book, and that just adds a bit more fun, a bit more personality. I've then kind of like broken up my background and journey into bullet points, and then concluded with a few of my skills, again, going back to the SEO and keywords optimization, and then finishing the about section with my email and Instagram handle. And then when it comes to the experience section, a lot of people don't add or update their work experience on LinkedIn. And I think that's such a lost opportunity, because that's really the place where you can talk about the skills that you learn at that specific job. You can add in images and links, and I would highly, highly recommend you do so, because the more you kind of fill out your LinkedIn profile, the better it is for you. And writing a description of each of those experiences, I tend to go back and look at the job description of wherever I worked, because that will include your responsibilities, your skills, your day-to-day stuff. And so this is an example of mine. So here you can really pad out all of your learnings and experiences at that particular job. And then recommendations is another feature that a lot of people don't tend to use. And this is something that can be done in literally less than 10 minutes. So it's a good opportunity to go back to your university tutor or someone you might have worked for previously and just ask for a recommendation. It doesn't have to be very long, but it kind of like helps because it lets people see that you have a bit of credibility, you have people who can back you and kind of know you that well. It just takes like little 3 or 4 clicks to kind of ask someone for a recommendation, and then just wait for them to fill that out. So I would also recommend you do that and you make use of all of LinkedIn's features. So congrats. At this point, you should have a complete profile. And I think the other key thing to remember is to update this as and when you start a new job or you start university or you start your own business, and update that experience and keep everything as to up to date as possible. And now that you've got a good base, which I think is really important, now you're ready to kind of like create some content. So when thinking about what you should post, it depends on what your goal is. Today, obviously, we're talking about building a personal brand, and that can still work even if you're early in your career, if you're a part one, or if you're, studying or just graduated. But the most kind of frictionless way to start is by keeping a link to the industry or documenting your journey. And again, it doesn't have to be in a very like creator way. It can just be through simple images. It can be through something that you're reading that week, something that's happening in the industry, news-wise. But I think the main thing is with content on LinkedIn is you should give me a reason for me to click on your profile and learn more about you. It doesn't work in the same way as Instagram, where everything is kind of like stored on your feed and you kind of have that archive to go through. I think on LinkedIn, content is slightly a bit more temporary, although they have kind of tweaked the algorithm recently where you are seeing older posts. But I would just make sure that you're, I guess, not treating it too seriously, I suppose, because you can always recycle the same topics and the same conversations that you've been having. And then think visual too. So you'll see once you start kind of like getting familiar with LinkedIn that a lot of the posts are text-based because I think that's the format that has worked really well for that platform for a very long time. However, I'm seeing this trend more and more as like people posting really personal content and then they'll like add a selfie of them. And I think that's more so just to be a bit more like personal and engaging with their audience. So if you do feel like, obviously as architects or whatever career or whatever creative career you're in, we're going to be thinking visually anyway. So if you do have a sketch or if you've visited somewhere, you've taken a photo, it's really great to kind of post about that too. And when you're doing so, I would recommend to keep to a maximum of 4 images, but ideally just one. And that's just because on LinkedIn, once you upload more than like 2 images, it starts doing this really weird like grid collagey thing, which I don't like. It doesn't let you see the whole image either. So I would just stick to one, and that's going to show up in someone's feed a lot better too. And then in the description, so if you're talking about architecture work in particular, for example, I would write in a way that you're writing for someone who has no idea about anything related to architecture. Don't try and kind of treat it as a essay or a something, corporate or professional or an email or anything. Just write as if you were talking to someone about it. And again, that just helps people engage with your work or engage with your posts a lot better. So this example that I did quite a few years ago now, actually, but this was my first week of masters where the work you're seeing isn't even my work. It was literally me breaking down the brief that we were given. So again, not something significant, but actually it kind of shows my thought process. It shows what I'm looking into. And I'm pretty sure I got a few comments of people being like, you should look into X, Y, and Z precedent. And that way I got some engagement. I made a few connections. I resonated with a few people. So it doesn't have to be too intimidating in that sense. And the other kind of type of post I would say is also reposts. So don't forget that no matter what kind of stage of your career you're at, your opinion is still valuable. And I personally think architects love having or love giving their opinion. And so reposting someone else's post or a company or some sort of news post is totally fine. You can also add your comments on top of it and add your thoughts. So, for example, this AJ article was talking about the Pay 100. And so I kind of like pulled a quote from that article and gave my own opinion about it. And that post did really well. And that's just, another way to establish credibility in your personal brand. And I suppose share with other people and share with your audience what things you're passionate about. And it all kind of like directs and leans back to your personal brand or your unfair advantage. So I would definitely take a moment and post the next slide that I'm going to put up. Tag me and Maria in it too. And that way you kind of have like a simple first LinkedIn post if you've never posted on LinkedIn before. I'll give you like 10 seconds to do that. Gives me a break, but there's not much left.
I love this.
I've only had, I think, 2 people do this so far, and I've given various versions of this presentation maybe like 6 or 7 times already. So I really get impressed when people do post it. Okay, cool. Hopefully everyone's got a screenshot or an image of that now. And so finally, when it comes to good posting habits, these are again things that I tend to stick to. They're not kind of informed by LinkedIn in any way, but I post early in the morning at around 8 or 9 a.m. And that just lets everyone who is in that traditional like work office hours kind of system to see your post. Gives it a bit of breathing room and a chance to kind of like sit there on the feed for a little bit. I do still use hashtags on LinkedIn posts. I don't really know if it does anything, but I just do it anyway. And I would stay away from being one of those people who tags like 15 other people in a single post just for engagement. It's actually quite annoying. And then lastly, making your first line irresistible to read. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but on both desktop and mobile, LinkedIn kind of previews a lot of posts where you only really see the first 1 or 2 lines at the most. And so making sure that your first line is really, really irresistible. It could be a question, it could be a hook, it could be something really controversial. I think that that's quite important because it will get that person to then click and expand on that post and then read it, and then they'll be immediately more invested in what you're saying too. So out of all these things, the most important one is that last line. And then finally, I do want to talk about engaging. Obviously, with a personal brand, you do want to output a lot, but I think equally, a personal brand is about being personal towards other people. So engaging is really important on LinkedIn. I would say it's kind of, equal amounts to posting. So for every post that you like or scroll past, I would also try and engage with 3 other posts. And I try and do this every time I open the LinkedIn app. So you could leave a thoughtful comment. Try not to say great post. I've done it plenty of times in the past too. Try and maybe add some kind of comment or question or addition to whatever the other person is saying. Or even tag someone because everyone loves free publicity. And then you could also stroll into DMs. You could ask someone about a recent post that they've done or get advice from them. And again, this does kind of like increase your network. And I think that's also quite a big part of having a personal brand is having a really good network. And then lastly, repost with your thoughts. So I mentioned this before, but it's a good way to kind of like engage with other people. Um, and then to keep the momentum going, so like I said earlier, if you're not a content creator, that's totally fine. But I do know like most people, especially in architecture, are super busy. And so thinking about posting or engaging can be a lot. But actually building your personal brand is more of a long-term effort, and it can be done even if you're like chipping away at it over a long period of time. It doesn't have to require a lot of your time. I think I've systemized my sort of LinkedIn presence to, a couple hours a week. You might just need one, for example. So I would stick to maybe 2 or 3 posts a week is a good number if you're really kind of going head first on it. I then also actively scroll and engage on LinkedIn at least, 15 minutes a day. And it's also a good time to kind of like save any posts that you like the look of. So if you're looking on LinkedIn, you're like, wow, I just sat there and read this really long text post, but it got me hooked, it got me engaged. And you can kind of like steal like an artist and steal that kind of structure of maybe they asked a question at the beginning and then maybe they bullet pointed a few points. And then add in obviously your own perspective and your own thoughts or topic or whatever it is. So don't feel like you have to start with a blank page every single time. And then to save yourself some time, you can also schedule these in advance. And that for me personally goes a really long way because it means that I can kind of do it and not worry about it for the next 2 weeks or so until I then batch produce another 6 or whatever posts it is. So a little bit of planning can help you turn this into more of a system so that you're not thinking about it or stressing about it every single day. And of course, like spare minutes add up, you know. I was just reading something in AJ yesterday and I was like, oh, I really want to talk about this topic. And I quickly pulled up my notes app and started jotting down what I want to talk about. So you don't necessarily have to have LinkedIn open every single day and be writing directly in that. You could have a little notebook. You could, you know, do it whilst you're watching TV, wherever you get your best ideas. So it doesn't have to take a lot of energy in that sense. And so, finally, to recap, LinkedIn is a very powerful tool, trust me. You can use it to position yourself in the industry and boost your credibility. And you can do this by, you know, sharing your journey and documenting what you've been working on. You can do it by engaging with other people. So if you're super shy and don't really want to make content, totally fine. But I would definitely recommend that you engage with people instead so that at least you're popping up in the right circles. And once you have an idea of what to post, it then just comes down to planning. It comes down to figuring out what your unfair advantage is, and out of those maybe 3 or 4 key ideas, what you want to be talking about and what's kind of relevant to people that you're targeting. So if you are looking for a job, maybe you're talking about things that architects will be interested in, and then vice versa. If you're an architect and you're looking for clients or you're looking to establish yourself in a specific sector, then you might respond to industry news or you might write some articles or produce some videos, for example. And then lastly, just making sure that you're highlighting your unfair advantage to stand out from the rest of the crowd. And you can do this in several ways by having a graphical layout of your images or your carousels, or you could use a specific color in the background of your profile picture. And then lastly, just spending a few hours planning and writing your post to create yourself a frictionless system. So that's kind of my section of the webinar. Really appreciate your guys' time. I think we said we would leave questions for later. Is that right? Yeah,
Yes,
awesome.
exactly. This was lovely. Thank you so much. I
Thank
mean,
you.
guys, this is everything Sana's doing. I've been because I neglected my LinkedIn for a really long time, and then I started like seeing your posts like probably like a year ago or something. And actually, you've like heavily influenced my own journey on LinkedIn with like the
Amazing.
stuff you've been sharing. And like genuinely, guys, I cannot recommend this enough. Like Sana knows what she's talking about. There's if you just do what she's doing, which is really like she broke it down in such an easy way. Like I can tell from myself, like my engagement went up a lot since I started like doing similar things and following kind of her guidelines that she shares. So I definitely recommend you guys to also try that. But now we will talk about the crazy platform, so Instagram, which is more crazy. Like Instagram is the Berlin of social media apps. It's like there's raves, there's people doing drugs, and it's fun. So I'm gonna talk. This is such a crazy intro. I feel like everyone who just came in is like shocked at this energy, but it doesn't matter. So if you've seen the promotional activity for this webinar, you know that it's hosted by SKALA. SKALA is my company, you may say. It's We help architects kind of build their presence online, and we specifically work with large practices that really want to kind of develop online and build their social media presence, and not just large practices, but also just practicing architects that need help. So if you're curious about what we can offer, and if throughout this presentation you're like, sounds interesting, maybe I want to explore getting some help in that, you can scan this QR code and it will lead you to our website, and over there you can explore some more resources. You can also book a call if you want to talk to me some more. There's lots of options on this fun website, so please do it. Our web designer will appreciate it because he worked a lot on it, so please check it out, and I will let him know people are coming. So, that sounds like a threat, but here we go. Now, before I begin, throughout my whole presentation, I have this kind of collection of little quotes that I want to bring up here and there, because I do think sometimes you just need a good sentence on a good white sheet of paper. So I'm going to give you a lot of those sentences today. But really, when we're talking about posting architecture, it's not about really posting architecture. It's about posting the brand that your architecture is trying to communicate. Like, what are your values? What is it you're trying to build? Because you're not just building a building, you're trying to make a difference in the world. And when we talk about why does social media even matter for architects, like what is the point of doing all this? Do I really need to post on Instagram? I believe you do, because there's a lot of advantages that you can get by posting on social media. And I'm the first one to say it. A lot of the stuff I get in opportunities and network does come from me actively making funny reels online. And like you could get more from posting a reel sometimes than going to an event, which is crazy. But I think you should definitely try it out if you haven't yet. But why, especially for architects? Number one, architecture is so visual already. We do renders, we do a lot of visualization. It's a whole degree in making a building conceptual and also make it look pretty. And I think the best way to also communicate that, we communicate between ourselves through sketches, but when it comes to communicating to the outsiders of architecture, maybe just showing them a plan is not enough. People don't really understand that if they come from outside of our field. And I think that is why it is so important to be able to translate kind of what you're doing in your practice to something that is more tangible and something that clients can immediately grasp and understand, and why they will come to you to hire you. That's the whole point of this, for you to get hired or for your company to get more clients. And also, of course, you know, the world is incredibly overcrowded right now. There's a lot of architects. Everyone wants a job. People are really fighting for the clients. And what I really resonate with the unfair advantage stuff that Sana was talking about. I actually started reading that book too now, because the way that you can position yourself to visibly showcase authority in a field can really lead to an increased amount of inquiries for your business. And I'm the first one to say it, like it really also helps me with my own company. So, which is why I will share with you today kind of the problem that architects have and how we are solving it with them and for them, basically. So you get for free what I tell everyone else for money. So you're welcome, by the way. I wanted to show this now because I get so many questions every day. So what is the problem? There's two key problems, but there's side problems that come from this tree of not positioning yourself. So let me start here. The first problem is you don't know what you stand for online. People are great, have great projects, but they don't really show their values online when they post on Instagram, when they post on LinkedIn. It's literally just like an empty update on we finished this project or I got this job. That is great. And obviously we're all really happy for you and we're rooting for you, but you need to position yourself as someone who can be hired and who can get more projects and stuff like that. Another big issue is consistency. So a lot of architects are also like, oh, it's enough if I just post after every project, if I post a render once a month. I mean, it is maybe enough for the clients you already have, the people that already know you, that follow you, but people that you're trying to attract, new clients, collaborators in the industry, in order for them to see you, every time you post, the chances of them seeing you get maximized, because Instagram is like a lottery, you know, like you throw in one ball and the chance of getting that ball, it's like, it's a slot machine. Like, you know, you don't know if it's going to come, but the more balls you throw in that machine, the more the chances that you will get seen. And that is kind of what I'm talking about today. And just a lot of other problems with inconsistency and just a little bit of a narcissism problem also that I've noticed, like people talking more about themselves, like they're how great they are, but not really talking to the clients. And our goal is to not only talk about themselves, and trust me, I love to talk about myself. Like I'm not judging, that is fine. But when we want to get clients as architects, we have to firstly talk about the client. It kind of seems obvious, right? But I know it's hard. So why is it not working? What is going on? Why am I posting it doesn't work? Because we sometimes overcomplicate things, and the best way to really position yourself online is to start with clarity and not complexity. So here's a little bit of something that me and my team have noticed in successful offices that we've chatted with, and also stuff we notice online. The main 6 things that you can really see in a successful office is clear identity, repeatable system, so they have the same type of posts that they post regularly that changes up with the projects, strong visuals, that is also important. Storytelling, which I will get into, which is super important. So why did they make this project? Why is this project the way it is? Not just like smack bang, here's the project, like please enjoy it, like and subscribe, but kind of where did it come from? And of course, also consistency and strategy. So strategy means not just posting a project for the sake of posting the project, but looking for people to go to a link from the project. Maybe you want new clients from the project. So everything like that, we really want to get with our social media strategy. So a little bit of what we do here at SKALA is we're a strategy agency for architects. So we only work with architects exclusively. We're just there to help architects run social media. And people ask me why. Do you really get clients just from architects? Yes, because it's hard and we're busy and nobody has time for it. And of course, it's the best we can do is help other people figure it out. So we do a lot of positioning, content strategy. I mean, we run a lot of architecture studio social media accounts. You've probably seen some of them. Of course, they don't disclose that they work with us, but I think it's still, I basically, and kind of as the strategy director at SKALA, I have a lot of information to share with you about Instagram and the LinkedIn situation and how you can really push your own account to a level of professionalism that usually we as a studio offer. So the main thing to keep in mind, visibility is not luck. Visibility is a system. So Instagram is not just randomly selecting people that wants to push, and it's not randomly sending clients to your page. You don't just get lucky online, basically. You get lucky when you start posting consistently, when you have a better strategy, and when you know what you're doing. So to know what we're doing, I wanted to kind of, I think I already talked about this, so I will just go to this. Not just having a PDF portfolio or a website is a little bit not enough. That's not a word. You understand what I mean? Is not enough right now in 2025, because think for yourself. If you're a client, okay, you're a contractor, you are tired, you work all day in your company, and you have a project, and you need to find an architect for it. What are you going to do? Of course, you look online, you Google. What shows up in Google? Instagram has a really strong SEO. So if you have an Instagram account, and if you Google my name, for example, the first thing that comes up is my Instagram. Even though I'm also popular on other platforms, even though my website is pretty popular, like the first thing that comes up is your social media. So if you are not active on social media and the client clicks on it, and he's like, oh, the last project was done they posted 3 years ago. What, are they even active? And you are active. That signals to the client that you haven't done anything in 3 years, even though you maybe have done stuff in 3 years. Do you know what I'm saying? So kind of the growth framework that we've really developed here at SKALA that has been helping a lot of architects. I've kind of tried to summarize it here in the circular diagram. I hope it helps you guys. But the main thing that you have to keep in mind is we need consistent content pillars. That are combined then with factors such as visual identity and storytelling. So storytelling entails in itself that you don't only post a project, but you really create a story around the project and connect to clients through that project. And of course, this first half is kind of like, oh, it's aesthetic dominated. But here on the left, we have positioning, analytics, and execution system. And what does that mean? Analytics is you see how good your posts have done, and you monitor them on your Instagram analytics, for example, or you can also look on LinkedIn for your analytics. I'm more versed on Instagram, so I'm talking about that more, obviously, but that is also something you can do on other platforms. And positioning, I've talked about in the beginning, execution system. So you really need to keep in mind all those 6 things to really pop off online, if that is, if you will, you know. So if you don't position yourself, the market will do it for you. That is something I've heavily realized, because it's not a matter of whether or not you want to be online. If you're a studio, you're an architect, you already are online. It's just either you're speaking for yourself or someone's speaking for you. Your clients are speaking for you. Maybe your friends are sharing stuff about your work. So why don't you already take back that power and build the narrative for yourself, position yourself as the authority in the industry, show what you can do, and get those clients for yourself. So step number 1, how do we do it? We want to figure out how can we position ourselves. In order to do that, here's some simple questions to ask yourself. So Sana already talked about this, but niche. What is your niche? What is something you're really good at that you would do for free? Like this is how someone helped me find my niche. Like what is something you would do for free forever and you would never get tired of it and you really like it and you could ask people money for it? Like think about that for a second. Some people, they like doing sustainability consultancy. You know, I like talking about Instagram. All of this stuff can be a niche, and it doesn't have to be super specific in architecture. Like obviously, I'm venturing more into marketing. I know Sana is as well. Like this, your niche. Don't limit yourself to traditional architecture to find your niche. Like really expand. See what your interests are. Maybe you can connect it to something else. People do like handcraft niches. Like maybe you're good with your hands. You can talk about that. There's like options for this. Another position. Who are your clients? My clients are everyone, Maria. I want to build buildings. I understand, but you build buildings for different people. Like, are you looking to build for companies? Are you looking to be build residential homes? Then your clients are families, like stuff like that. Like, really narrow it down. Who's my dream client? Who do I want to build for? Then, of course, values. What do you care about? Do you care about sustainability? Do you care about innovation? Do you care about all of those things? Then don't just say that you care about them, but really, how does it reflect in your work? And be honest with yourself. Like if you say you care about sustainability, do you actually practice sustainability? Like are your buildings carbon neutral? Like do you care about that kind of stuff? And if the answer is yes, then it's your value. If the answer is no, maybe we have to rethink our value. Just be honest with yourself, because the most worst thing you can do is promote values that are fake and not actually real in your office. So that is something I really heavily recommend. And of course, also mention kind of your strengths and your approach. So what is your office good at? What are you really good at? Are you good at like understanding the client's needs? You immediately, you talk to a client, 5 minutes in, boom, dream house. You know, like stuff like that. Are you good like that? Then it's your strength. Maybe you're good with colors. I don't know. There's people have different strengths. Just write all these things down. Okay, this is step one. Easy. What do I actually mean like with positioning? I have a couple examples here because I was doing this presentation and my coworker at SKALA was like, this is not understandable to anyone but you. So I brought examples, okay? Here we go again. We do architecture. You can reframe this to be something more specific. For example, we design sustainable community buildings. Obviously, if it's make this fit to your niche, okay? This is an example. You know, we're smart, we understand. Interiors, you don't just do interiors, you do more specific interiors. Do you understand kind of the thing? You don't just do competitions, you make public spaces. Like, add some adjectives that actually describe what you stand for, because otherwise it's just you're blending in. Like everyone does competitions. Name one office that doesn't do competitions, okay? Like, come on, we need to be specific to what we do. So if people can't explain what you do in one sentence, you don't have positioning. That is kind of the main way you can figure it out. If they just say you're in office, that is not good. We need to work. So content pillars. This is step 2. What do you actually post, and how often do you post what? So this is kind of the metric I go with for all of our SKALA clients, and it has shown itself to be just a really good metric to really not lose the projects of the architects, but also focus on educating other people. And education always brings in clients, because there's a huge misconception that if you start talking about anything other than your most recent project, nobody will watch, but actually the opposite happens. So people want to learn from you as an architect, not just like see your work. So 40% still should be projects. I'm very keen on that. Like still post your work, post your projects, stuff you've been doing. I do the same thing. Like I post my studio work on my Instagram. Maybe not 40% because I don't do, I'm still a student, you know, you're a studio, you're different. Okay, come on, not compare. But 40% should be projects. 30% should be expertise. What does expertise mean? What are you good at? These expertise is values. So you good. We've talked about this before. Showcasing that should be 30% of the post. Then the story of the project, story of the company, story with the client. That should be 20%, and 10% should be values. So sorry, the values are separate. We decided to do that in the end. But like, what do you stand for? So if you can see 60% has nothing to do with your actual work, and that is something that people don't understand yet, I feel like a lot on social media, because just posting projects will get you nowhere. It is something to keep for your portfolio. You don't have to post your values on your portfolio, but you have to post your values on your Instagram. So, so like content is really, it's not just like posting fancy stuff online anymore. Maybe this works in 2013. I don't know. I was 9 years old then, so I don't know what worked in 2013. But maybe before, I know a lot of people said like, oh, I could just post pretty stuff and it would get a lot of likes and views and like, you know. But now this is something different. We want to communicate stuff with our posts. So step 3, visual identity. What is a visual identity? How do you get a visual identity? You need to figure out these 5 things and just keep them for everything. Palette, typography, layout, grid, rhythm. For me, palette, black and white, easy. Typography, I use the same font, Montserrat. You can use another font. Don't steal my font. No, it's a very basic font. Okay, you can have it. Uh, layout, you can have layout, I mean, like maybe you have something in the bottom corner, maybe you have something here, where's your logo position, you know, stuff like that. Grid, what does your Instagram grid look like? How many posts do you have in different places? Like, what are the colors? And that is the same thing as rhythm. So when are we posting what? So figure out these 5 things. How do you figure them out? A, you either consult a branding agency like us, or there's also a bunch of online services. Adobe has an amazing color service. I think it's called Adobe Colors. You could just Google it, and I think you'll find it pretty fast. And there you can play around with colors, and it will match colors to the type of font. So I've used this as well, just to like figure it out when I was first starting out. Now I have some people that know what they're doing at my company, so I don't have to go on Adobe anymore. But if you want to try yourself, you can definitely go there first. So you have to design your feed like you design your buildings. Like I stand heavily on that, because the level of detail we put into projects that is then getting lost because you just haven't explained it really well online is like super sad. And I just wish people would like put the same amount of effort. But I know you don't have time. I know architects are busy, which is why there's people like me and Sana who can help you and really make you establish your own identity online, so you don't have to do it yourself. But so what is kind of the thing that will happen before and after you do your visual brand? So first, you will go completely from unstructured to structured. When there's a strategy, posting online is so fast. Like I literally, when I post on Instagram, I go in there, 2 seconds, boom, done. Post, story, everything. Because I already figured out my system. So if you figure yours out, it won't take you hours, trust me. I don't waste time. And you won't waste time either if you listen to this, okay? So, and what people will also see is they won't see you more as like a random studio that just posts random stuff, okay, cool projects. I mean, that's all nice and well, but you need to create a brand. Why do people come for you? Why don't people just go to Lidl and buy fries? Why do they go to McDonald's? Like, you know, it's the same kind of thing, and we need to show that. So, and really, when we talk about like posting your projects, not posting the context of a project is the worst thing you can do. So because then it really does become just a picture. If you just post pretty renders of your work, nobody knows what's going on except you. And even people that follow you don't know what's going on. So I really heavily encourage you to at least put some context in the caption. So now I want to go into a little bit like step by step how to storytell if you're an architect. This is something I also use for my own posts. If you're curious, so how do you tell a story of, for example, a project you've done? So number 1 is always explain the idea. This building is for this kind of client, for this company, whatever. You don't have to say the client, but you know, explain what it is. Number 2, why? Why did you do this project? Did you want to make an impact in the community? Did you want to make the client's needs work? Like, was there a specific task? Number 3, the problem. So what did your office see as the main problem in the project? Maybe there was not enough connection between the buildings, so you had to build a new one or something. You know, what is the problem that you solved in the project? And then, of course, the last thing should be the uniqueness. Why is your project unique? Is it sustainable? Did you use some new tool? Kind of going in this 4-step thing really helps you make the post well-rounded and people understand what you're doing just in general in your architecture's company. So the main thing I'm trying to get at, if you haven't understood by now, is your projects will not sell themselves. Nobody understands your projects but you. So you need to create a story for your project so people can read the story and be like, oh, wow, this is so good. And you know it's good. So this is why I'm so mad. The projects are there, okay? The work has been done. People do architecture every day. But the storytelling, we really need to work on that, okay? Which is why we're here. But So how do you actually execute this? Because you may be thinking, Maria, okay, I've done all this, but when do I actually post? What are the steps to do that? Okay, first we start with a calendar. I'm not like a huge fan of calendars because to me, like every week something changes. Like I also make spontaneous content, so like stuff that's not planned in advance. But if you're just starting out, make a calendar of what you want to post, and then the batching is like the key thing here. So sit down, create some content for your Instagram one time. If you sit down one time, you can create content for a whole week in an hour or two. Really, it does not take that long. You don't need to be on there every day for 3 hours. And when you've done that, you can kind of just go ahead and post it like once a day. I really recommend doing like 3 to 4 times a week at least if you're in office, but every day is better, you know? Also create templates for yourself. You can create templates on CapCut of stuff you're doing. You can have already pre-made carousel templates for your projects. So you can just like, boom, put a photo in, write a nice text. It's done. It's don't think about it anymore. It really doesn't have to be hard, I promise. And of course, number 4 is scheduling. So use the scheduling feature on Instagram and LinkedIn. Schedule the post so you don't have to go in and remember, oh, I have to wait 1 second, client, please wait. I have to post my Instagram thing. Like, no, just go in there, schedule it so it will do it in itself and you won't have to think about it. And the main thing is, I know this is counterintuitive to architects, but really, consistency beats perfection, okay? I'm not the most aesthetic blogger in the world. Like, obviously, you all know that since you're here. But I'm so consistent. Like, you guys, I post so much. And the way that consistency, like, people see you more. It's like the lottery effect of what I was talking about. More balls in the machine means more chances of getting seen. So really, be consistent, show up every week, multiple times a week, and just stay at it. Like, you will literally have to not even wait a month if you become consistent online. So step 6 is always the analytics. You have to kind of review what you're posting. So you've posted everything, you've scheduled your stuff. How do you even see and understand if your strategy is working? So number 1, always look at reach. How many people looked at your stuff? How many people saved? That is also very important on Instagram right now. And of course, clicks. So have people DM'd you from your post? Have people clicked your links in your bio? All of that can show you how much people are resonating with your post, because it doesn't matter if they like it. Like, likes don't matter, okay? No matter if all your friends like your architecture building, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean it's a good post, okay? We need to talk about the reach. And then, of course, inquiries and conversation. How many general clients and connections have you generated from this post? So it's not about becoming an influencer, right? Like Sana already said that. It's about creating trust. You want to showcase authority to other people, to your clients, and just be the go-to person. If you're online, you can become the go-to person so fast. Like people, you Google someone in your niche, and you will find you if you show up online. And that is the thing we want. So here's kind of another summary. I think you can screenshot this if you want to know what you should post. But really, the main thing is like storytelling, of course, also our values, and then kind of just show your process, be out there. Don't just post like renders. That is the main thing I wanted to get at today. But I also did a little summary of what to film every week so you can have content for later, because I know architects are busy and they don't have time to film sometimes. Even 2 hours 1 week, it's kind of hard. So here's like 6 things you can do to have content for later. Film model making. Just put a phone there, maybe in the corner of the room so people don't notice it. Of course, no, tell the people that you're filming, but so people don't get confused by the phone. That's what I mean. Always notify people that you're filming. But you can film building a model. You can film the office team working. Maybe you guys are discussing a project. Just film stuff like that so you can use it for reels later. Also photograph every sketch. You can create really nice carousels with sketches, and you can also sprinkle them in stories when you're going to be talking about the project later on. It's always good to have an initial idea sketch. If you go to site visits, film the buildings that are there, materials, details. Stuff like this can really help you create a full picture at the end of your project. And of course, also materials and prototypes. So if you get samples, if you get sent like little mock-ups, maybe you 3D printed your building, I don't know, stuff like this, always collect and keep. And of course, everyday office life. So what kind of books are you reading at the office? Maybe some notable moments, maybe you have an office party, I don't know. And the thing I've noticed that worked really well in some offices is, rather than having one person do all the pictures, create an office culture of documentation. So people are just willing to take photos, and they automatically, like, while they're doing something, they can take a photo of it. If you create that kind of culture and people are not scared of anyone pulling out the phone, then this really becomes such an intuitive thing that you don't even think about it anymore. But of course, make sure everyone's okay with being on camera, and whatever you're photographing, make sure it's not private information. That is the main thing you have to keep in mind. Yeah, so don't just create the content. You really have to document the kind of process you're doing while doing the architecture. That is the main thing, because we're not influencers. We're architects that have an Instagram. That is a big difference, okay? So do not post. I repeat, do not post only renders. If I see another person posting only a render after this, I've screenshotted everyone in this call. If you post only one render, I will personally comment on your account. I will comment a downward thumb that you posted only a render. Okay, don't do this. Don't just post lifestyle spam. Also, like, endless stories if you're just doing stuff is also not. It has to be a story. It has to connect with your project, with the client. Don't just also post without context. Just posting a picture of your work. Nobody knows what's going on. Please always context. And just team photos. I mean, your team is nice, but we don't know who they are. We don't know what the people in the team do. You give some understanding, because nobody knows what's going on except you. So, and if you kind of compare Instagram to LinkedIn, what I've noticed is that Instagram is a lot more about like creating a visual brand, and LinkedIn about this authority building, which is I also use LinkedIn, and I've been using it pretty consistently recently. But I've noticed that like actually like sharing my authoritative views on stuff works really well in text form, whereas on Instagram it's more about videos and posting your creative stuff. So like, don't just post more. Don't go in there and schedule 15,000 posts, but post better stuff. So use the principles we've shared. Don't just like throw stuff out there. Just be consistent with it and use our formulas. So this is kind of what I've tried to summarize you that works for our clients right now. I've already been talking about this, but 3 to 4 posts a week, good storytelling, clean identity, also call to actions. Go to our link, look at our profile, follow us, like stuff like that. And of course, analytics. This is like the formula we use for every client, and trust me, it works. So I also want to bring a little case study. We've been working with a client recently. If you follow the SKALA Instagram account, you already seen this case study. But we started with zero reach. This is an architecture office, and they had zero reach. So we opened their Instagram account, and they allowed us to talk about this, by the way. Okay, I'm not going to name them, but just they had no reach. They had a professional account, but they had like 2,000 followers, no reach. And we went in there, just started posting consistently about stuff they've already been talking about in their projects. 230K reach in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, guys, of just posting consistently, 3 to 4 times a week. Like, not crazy. We were not posting every day. 230K from nothing, zero. And they're like, and they were so concerned in the beginning. They were like, our account has no reach. How are you going to do this? Like, what is the point? You should promote us on other accounts. No. Consistency brings you to 230K in 2 weeks. So just, they also received multiple inquiries about the projects. And of course, we got some viral content out of it. And they also managed to sell a bunch of their courses, because they also create courses. So really, guys, just consistency can really bring you from nothing to something, okay? So strategy, not randomness. I'm sorry if the quotes are annoying. I like quotes, so you will see it here. And avoid these mistakes. So no identity, no strategy. This is what we've been talking about. Don't just post finished buildings. Really, use what I'm talking about. And then I already talked about this. I think I wanted to give also a little overview. If you're thinking, okay, Maria, this all sounds really well, but I don't want to do this myself, you can also work with us. I mean, SKALA is always happy to help other architects, and you can also look on our website. The main services we do offer is strategy, so we create a social media strategy for you. We also create content for architects, management of social media, and of course, identity as well, which is branding. And then the other thing we do is training. So we also train architecture offices to run their own architecture accounts. So if you're in a big office and you know that they need help, you can send this to them and say they can help you, which I will greatly appreciate. So, and why architects love to work with us? The main thing is because we are all architects. So every person that works at SKALA is an architect or has an architectural background, like myself. And we create systems for the clients, so they know exactly when what post will come. We have our own dashboard for the clients. And of course, we don't just like we're not just Gen Z social media verse. We don't post memes. We really understand design and how you can market design to really get those 300, 230K reaches in 2 weeks. So if you want to join Scala and if you are interested in growing online, you can again scan this code. You can go on our website and you can book a call with our team and we will discuss strategy and we will discuss how we can help you online. So if you need help, please, you can scan this code. Yeah, that's kind of it. So thank you for being here. I'm done now. Sorry, this was so long, but this was kind of it from my end, and I think maybe we can jump into the Q&A, Sana, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let us go ahead. Okay, guys. So we do have some time for questions. So if anything me or Sana said you want to understand more about, you can ask now or keep your silence forever because we will be doing other stuff afterwards. You can type in the chat or you can also raise your hand or speak up. I don't know if you want to speak. But remember, this call is recorded, so if you speak, you will be recorded. Okay. Yeah, but this was so fun. I think
Yeah,
it's good that you focused on LinkedIn and I did
yeah, I
more
think
like
so.
Instagram. Yeah,
Yeah. No,
that
that was
was
great. It was a really good presentation. I think you covered like so many key ideas and learnings as well, which not many people think about. I mean, I wrote down your quote about your online presence is part of your portfolio, and I think that's a really good way of thinking about it, is if you don't speak for yourself, you're definitely leaving it to chance. So that's a good point.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. I also enjoyed it a lot. Everyone is so shy. Why are you
I
shy?
know.
Don't be shy. If you wanted to ask, you have to ask now, guys. Because I know you have questions because people keep DMing me stuff, but I can't answer everyone. I answer people when I see the question, but it's a bit hard
Yeah.
to always get back to stuff. And we both have a lot of people on the account, and then just trying to answer everyone, it's kind of hard. So this is the moment if you wanted to ask something about social media or stuff. But I'm not going to force anyone.
Yeah, yeah,
I,
for sure.
I actually wanted to ask you a question, Sana, about
Hmm.
LinkedIn because that is something that interests me since Instagram I'm more or less understanding now. But LinkedIn, like because I know on Instagram if you have an architecture project, you
Hmm.
can create carousels about it, you can create a nice reel of the process. On LinkedIn, do you I know people reshare the same carousels they do also on LinkedIn and then write
Hmm.
some comments about them. But do you
Right.
maybe have something you can recommend to do if you just finished a project and you want to post about it on LinkedIn as well?
Yeah, I mean, I would really think about it as more of a campaign than just a single post. So, at the practice that I'm currently working at, doing their communications, for example, anytime a project goes in for planning or it gets completed, I try and think about it more as a campaign. So, talking about, like you said, capturing that full process of how did the initial idea start, posting an image of that. But then, if a project's complete and maybe we have a client testimonial, we'll take a video of that and post that, but also like support it with, I guess, text that is engaging and tells a story rather than just being like, this is what our client said. So just making sure that we're kind of like aware of who might be seeing this, but also not just posting the same content format every single time. So switching it up definitely works on LinkedIn, even if like text-based posts are the like primary type of post on there. I think LinkedIn is also prioritizing a lot more video content as well. So, I think it's super easy right now to grow on LinkedIn because not a lot of people are utilizing it in the way that they should. So I think that's like the main idea, is just to try everything out and see what works for you.
Great. Thank you. We have a question in the chat.
Mhm.
So I have a question if I want to start social media, mainly Instagram, but I'm not sure about the type of content. Do I start a plan first? Uh, oops, does it wait? Do I start a plan first, or means posting random stuff without a clear path? Do you want to tackle that first?
Um, it depends on your goal, to be honest. So if you're, like you said, looking for clients as an architect, maybe do think about that strategy and positioning that, like Maria was saying. But if you're, just starting out, if you're super shy, maybe you're a student or a graduate, then I would just try and think about the most easiest thing that you can do. And for most people, it is kind of just documenting and taking pictures of stuff that you're working on throughout the week. What do you think?
Mhm. I mean, yeah, I agree for sure. I think the first thing you can do to post is look at what you've done in architecture and maybe look at a project that you like the most visually and then try to write a story for it. Like, why did you make this project the way it is? Is there something you can teach other people with this project? And kind of starting off with that, you can create a reel of either like you talking about the project. I like talking head videos. I know some people don't like them, but or you can also document you sketching and put something in the caption. Try something like that first. Always start with the architecture, not just like randomly posting. So I would recommend to try that if you're just starting out. Ryan raised his hand, so I want to talk to Ryan. Ryan, go ahead.
Oh, hello, you can hear me okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. My question was about your quote specifically about talking to the client, not yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to understand, like, from like the perspective of what Sana was saying about students who've just finished architecture school and they're looking for a job. How can you
Mm-hmm.
figure out what your client is in that
Mm-hmm.
perspective?
Right. Well, if you're a student who just finished school and you're really looking for a job, your client is your dream studio. So, who do you want to work for? Like, pick a couple of studios, look at what they post on social media, and don't like the issues just posting about yourself. Like, we don't want to just post projects. You can use projects you already have to kind of market to their ideal candidate for a job. Like, do they specialize in sustainability? Okay, cool. Post your most sustainable project, maybe tag them, maybe go into the comments of their Instagram posts and like respond to their posts. Just build this visibility, because if they will see your account pop up and they can know what this works especially great on LinkedIn, by the way, like commenting under people's posts, and then they see you and they remember your name because your full name is on LinkedIn. So try doing something like that. But really, client can be anyone. If you're a freelancer, your client is also any architecture client. If you're a student, your client is your professors, your peers, your client is like such a broad term for just people who are interested in you and your work. So really just try to see what the client does themselves and then speak their language. Kind of that's what I meant with that. But maybe Sana can also add.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head, to be honest. I think the only thing that I would add is when you're talking about yourself, just make sure that you're also, I guess, offering how you can help them. So, like you said, with an architect who's looking for a client, and that could be a developer or whatever, they're trying to kind of establish credibility, saying we can help you in so and so areas. But if you're a student or a graduate and you're targeting architecture firms or even, design practices, I guess you're almost using yourself as like the product and kind of saying, these are my skills, this is my unfair advantage, and this is how I can fit into your studio. So definitely have those like that like hit list of practices to be gearing towards, and that's going to help you just be more specific, really, is I think is the key thing.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. Another question in the chat from Sirajam. Sorry if I mispronounced. We kind of answered your question. I saw you also commented another thing, but yeah, if you're in architecture school, your main thing is going to be just communicating your values, looking at what kind of studios you want to reach later on. When you're a student, you have a great advantage of still having time. So you can, while you're in studio, you can post your work, you can talk about your university, you can really establish yourself really well before you hit that job market. And then you're already kind of set up, it's, I'm talking from experience here. So really start as soon as you can, even if it's bad in the beginning. You can go down to my posts. They're also really bad in the beginning. But you get better with time the more you do it, just like architecture. So just go ahead and look who are you trying to reach, basically. Um, yeah. Sorry, did you can also add something, Sana. I'm sorry, I just kept reading.
No, all good. No, I was just reading the part where you said it's mostly the concern of our work not being good enough to be posted. I think a lot of people do have that thought or imposter syndrome, especially while you're at uni. But surprisingly, quite a lot of architects or even, people in the design industry do prefer seeing the messy work, the sketches, and even the really bad models and things over like the renders and the visuals and the shiny bits, just because it kind of, again, tells a story, and it kind of shows that actually you don't have to be like super perfect all the time. And that's way more interesting, I think, also. So, and you never know, something that you think isn't that good, it could seem like really, really great for someone else. So I think just give it a chance. And social media isn't necessarily like, I mean, I know the internet is sort of permanent in that sense, but I think with social media you can kind of get by just by experimenting and posting a range of things.
Mm-hmm. We also have Kainat in the chat. Uh, Great webinar, guys. What are your views on refurbishing or reposting the same content across Instagram and LinkedIn? I think it's great if you have nothing to post. It's better to repost something from another platform than to not post at all. But I think you can use them for different things. So like I was saying, Instagram is more showcasing your values, aesthetic, like really posting your work. And LinkedIn is about building authority and showing your views and also having great founder perspective on stuff you're doing. But what do you think, Sana? Maybe you can. I know you have very different content on your Instagram and LinkedIn, kind of
Yeah, no, that's a
same
really
thing
good
but
point.
different content. Yeah.
Yeah, good point. I think it is different, which is why I think personally I don't really tend to repost the same things, but I reckon the like overall strategy or the things that I'm talking about is repetitive, and I think that's obviously done with a purpose because those are my like values or the things that I want to be talking about. So I guess if the overarching message is still the same, or it's something that you felt hasn't been communicated well and you might tweak a few things and then repost, that's also really fine.
Mm-hmm. Great. Uh, Fahim, I think we also answered your question a little bit, but I was wondering if we're a student and don't know what to post on LinkedIn, should we just stick to architecture content on Instagram or keep posting things on both? Do both. Do as much as you can, I think. On LinkedIn, you definitely have something to say. Maybe you saw a new project at uni that you liked, or maybe you saw one of your peers did a great project or your own project. You definitely have stuff to post. So I would definitely do both.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Irene is saying, I would like to ask something regarding LinkedIn. So I think this is more to you, Sana. I've been inactive for a long time and have not responded to messages from important people in the industry for many months. Ooh, girl. How do I handle this? Do I respond after a long time or do I just leave as is? I love this question. Just leave him. Leave him on red. No. Listen to Sana.
No, I think it depends on the context, really. It depends on who that person is in terms of your network. Obviously, maybe just for professional reasons, I would try not to just leave it. If you feel like the conversation might not go anywhere, then that's fine. Or maybe you could just reach out again and just explain that you weren't really active on the platform and start a new conversation. So don't necessarily have to kind of like just go and apologize to all these people.
I love the idea of that though. Like, hello, sorry.
Yeah.
But, we also have another question from Rawan. So thank you, Sana and Maria, for the great presentation. It was so clear and helpful. I have a problem with my mic, but I have a question. I don't have a studio, but I work as a teaching assistant, and I would like to share the journey. I go through with my students every semester. Do you have any tips on how to share that? I think Sana is in the same position, like you just started working as an assistant. So do I
Yeah.
post this process or studio videos or discussions? Also, I aim for it to be personal. I just got this idea while listening to your presentation about storytelling. Thank you. Please, yes. I mean, I love seeing like teaching assistants post content, not even just architecture teachers, but just teachers in general, because this person is like really sacrificing their time to teach what they teach other people to you for free. And just, I mean, what I can only speak from the student perspective because I haven't posted that yet, but Sana can go into that more, I think. But I really like to see methods that you apply maybe in studio, like how do you help students if they have a problem in their concept, like how can you develop concepts together. I think something like that would really interest me personally as a student watcher. But
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think the part of documenting that I'm finding difficult with teaching is that obviously you have to kind of be present and be in the moment, in studio especially. So there's not that much time, at least for me anyway, to kind of like film stuff. But you can always take those concepts back and do like talking head videos or even really, really simple, like over the head, sort of like explainer videos or something. Or take pictures of, stuff that people have been making in studio, that kind of thing. And then talk about your journey in teaching, because I think that's also a very unique experience, and not many people get to be on like the other side of the table per se. So yeah, I think it's a good thing to be documenting, but the approach is really dependent on how much you can invest into that process.
Mhm. That was super nice. So Hannah's asking, thank you for this question. Thank you for instructive webinar. Will we have the access to this recording? Yes, you will. If you Google my name on YouTube, man, I should have dropped the link earlier. Okay, just Google my name on YouTube. You will find the YouTube channel I have. And I will also be posting a link to it on my stories, but we are recording this whole thing to YouTube as well. And then there will be also a link I will share with Sana. Maybe she can share it in another way also with her followers. Yeah. But I will be posting the link to my stories if you want it. But you will be able to rewatch it, basically. We want to keep this information here. Yeah, people are saying, oh, thank you. Da, 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 da. Helped clarity. Oh, nice. Guys, I'm glad you enjoyed this. Wait, we have one more question, sorry. Aina is asking, if you want to start personal brand, do you recommend starting from nothing with a new profile on Instagram that allows you to build the audience that aligns with the value and content you want to share? Or is it better to start from an already established personal profile that already has some following, but it is not necessarily the audience you want to create for? Good question. I mean, I started my account from an old art account. So my account used to be where I would post my drawings and stuff, and it had like 1,000 followers. And I started from then. I just deleted all the posts and started posting something else. I don't know how much I can recommend it to other people, but I think the point is not which account to start from. The point is to start on some account. Yeah. Like just start posting, and if you see it goes really bad, I don't believe in shadow bans. But if you feel like this account is not working, you can always start a new one later on. But just try with what you have. The issue with creating a new account is just like prolonging the procrastination of posting online. So I think I would just try, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of people, especially a couple of years ago, fell into the trap of having like a personal Instagram account and then having like their architecture or business Instagram account. And then you just end up with way too many accounts that you're not really giving any consistency to. So I would definitely use what you already have, and then, yeah, just start posting is the key thing.
Definitely. We'll take one last question from Roman. She's asking again, do we need to share reels for someone who's camera shy for exposure, organic growth, or posts are enough? I mean, you're lucky. Instagram is right now heavily promoting carousels. Yeah. So if you don't want to be on camera, you can make some great carousels. Make sure you add some like funky music to it. Because then the thing with carousels right now is Instagram started showing carousels in the For You thing. So in the Reels thing. So if you scroll in Reels, you sometimes see carousels, which is kind of why they've been popping off recently. So yeah, just start with posts, but also don't be camera shy. Like nobody, I feel like I was also the same way, but at the end of the day, nobody cares about anyone but themselves, and nobody will remember. And people that judge you for doing things are just too afraid to do it themselves. And you will be so proud of yourself later on when you get opportunities from being online that you will not even think twice about it the next time you do it. So that is something like just, you don't have to do it immediately, but try it out.
Yeah, for sure. Totally agree.
Lovely. Guys, it is dinner time. So we will wrap it up. But I think this was such an incredible thing. Thank you so much again, Sana. Please follow her on her social medias. I've dropped the links in the chat. You can find them in the beginning. Also follow me and follow the SKALA Instagram account. We are growing. So, and don't forget, if you have any questions, you can always reach me, you can reach Sana, and you can reach the SKALA company, and we can help you build your social media online if you don't know how to do it yourself. This is what we're here for. So let's end this right here on a sweet note. Thank you, Sana, and thank you all, and have a great night.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Maria.